Hello, everyone. My name is JD Calderon, and this is Indy Comics Explained. And yet again, I brought another fantastic group of independent comic book creators to talk about independent comics. So here we go. So please hit like, hit subscribe, share out the video. And I have to say thank you to everyone who backed the Oswald Chronicles, the latest campaign. So, it's a success. Thank you so much. Books will hopefully be going out very, very soon. And without further ado, let's bring on this gentleman.
Hello, this is Mark Torres of the King from Radio, the official The Big Apple Con. I'm here once again on a quote-unquote holiday because it is Super Bowl time once again, and this is my second Super Bowl show with you on your show, Mr. Calderon, and I am happy to be joined by the rest of the panel. Who do we have on for today's show?
Well, let's bring on the
co-host. Hey everybody, I'm Randy Zimmerman. I do Arrow Comics, arrowcomics.store, and I also broadcast on the Indy Comics Network.
All right, there you go. And we have Mr. Sam. Please introduce yourself.
Publishing right here in Frankfort, Kentucky. We make indie comics and RPG books.
There you go. And
Ryan. I'm the artist on the post-apocalyptic fantasy Sunmaker, which is live on Kickstarter right now.
All right, there you go. All right, gentlemen. So, unfortunately, we had a couple of guests drop out. That was Kenny Aitken from Apex. Kenny's internet is dead, so sorry about that, Kenny. But go check out his book. It's called Apex. Got about 60 hours left. Awesome book. I backed the book myself. Incredible stuff. Really nice book. So go check it out. And the other one is John Edingfield, right? The second, right? So John is just spent, which I get. he's been caretaking some people, and another great book, Ransomville. Go check it out. So I mean, I'll probably pull them up later just to pull them up. So there you go. But anyway, let's get on with the people we got. And I got a question for you guys. This one comes. I was gonna ask it last week, but we ran a little late. But this question is from Jake Tivester through Daphne's channel, right? And the question basically is, I had to try to distill it down a little bit. The basic gist of the question is, what impact do we see manga having on the American comic book community or business, right? Not so much aesthetically, but in our culture of comics and I guess the way we create them, right? So that's pretty much the gist of the question. Sam, you got any thoughts on that?
Well, today I did read volume 1 of Korean title, Solo Leveling, and very, very heavily manga influenced as a lot of the manga are. Mm-hmm. And there seems to be a big trend lately where we see a lot of impact with like power mechanics being derived from similarities to existing video games. And so I think we can probably see a twist of that migrating across European comics in some instances. And we've seen a couple of indie books so far that have done that too. So it wouldn't surprise me to see that influence come around as well. But like anything in comics and manga and European comics, I think that everything tends to run in cycles. So I think we'll see that hit its apex, come back down after a few years, and we'll continue the eternal human quest for entertainment, moving through different genres along the way.
All right, cool. Ryan, what are you thinking?
I probably won't be like as elegant as that. It's kind of cool because like a lot of the younger people, that's what they're into. So I mean, as long as people are reading comics, it doesn't matter if it's like Japanese or American. Like it's just awesome. I think like the manga has like a different kind of a visual sense that's kind of neat. Like me personally, I kind of like how like in Naruto, Dragon Ball, like they start tilting the frames and like as the action ramps up, like the layouts kind of get a little crazy and then they flow back. It's got like a different kind of pacing. Sometimes it's okay, sometimes it's not, but they'll spend a lot of time on really weird stuff that has absolutely nothing to do with the story. So it's like a whole different kind of thing. I don't know. So,
all right, cool. Hold on, let me pull this up.
That's a good question.
Yeah. So, Jason asks, do y'all think that teens reading manga now will eventually get into North American comics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the hope.
I think that depends upon the quality of the North American comics. To tell you
I think
the
that's a
truth,
fair point.
and the properties that are generated. But yeah, it's a great question, and it's one that we're not going to know. I taught cartoon. Can I take the question? I don't mean.
Go ahead, go. Yeah, you were next.
I taught cartooning. I figured. Yeah, I taught cartooning after school for many years, and manga had already taken over 10, 12 years ago. It's just now, everybody's just now catching up to what's going on. The Fruits Basket, Ranma 1/2 even was out in the schools long before. And this is because the larger companies decided to ignore important young readers and female audience, and they found their entertainment in other places. And that's really why manga's got such a foothold, is because of the entertainment value that manga offers, the imagination, the action, the spirit, the entertainment value of those products bring these kids in to a manga book. And they're even, and as I keep saying, and I'm an old guy, so I'm kind of set in my old dog, new tricks ways, but these kids are even willing to read it from right to left in order to be entertained. And that's something to point out. Their sales, I think the sales would double or triple if they actually printed it from left to right in the old days. Nowadays, it doesn't matter because the kids have figured out how to do it, and they're doing it, and they're selling more and more all the time. And the cool thing about manga is they're really setting examples, and that's something that we can dip into in the indie market. They're showing people how to market stuff. They're showing people what's selling. You can see what's selling out there, the hotter properties, the bigger books, the stronger influences out there, not just the aesthetics, not the devices or the drawing style or even the format, but just the properties themselves and the entertainment values is important to go after. That and the young adult market are the two biggest movers right now in this industry. And any indie creator out there that isn't looking into those fields, both of them are missing out, because that's where the new readers are going to come from. And that's the reader base that we need to appeal to. That's where the money's at, or that's where the long sustaining money is at. There's a large amount of money out there in collectability. There's a large amount of money out there in people just begging to be entertained, just looking for anything good that they can lose themselves in, especially now. The harder the times are, the better, and the higher the entertainment value that people are desperately questing for. And you're not seeing a lot of it spring up on streaming. You're not seeing a lot of it come up in the standard places, but manga is carrying it. And I've yet to see like Dave Pilkey do a regular podcast. I would love to have him on to talk to him for a while, and just to pick his brain about sales and marketing and that kind of thing. That's what he's doing out there is fascinating. And manga's the same way. Manga's online stronger than most other platforms. On the shonen platform is super strong. Manga's bumping into the discount stores harder and faster. The mainstream guys aren't bothering to try to do a cheaper product in newsprint to sell at the dollar stores. You walk into a Five and Below, they've got a huge display of manga books sitting there for $5. The first 5 volumes of Attack on Titan, and there's just a ton of titles there, because they're also selling ancillary merchandise at the same time. Backpacks, purses, cups, whatever, T-shirts, and they're literally showing up the Eastern market, I think, and we all need to start looking at that and learn from it.
True. Mark?
Correct me if I'm wrong, Randy, but the production is incredibly fast for manga. And I remember it in the 90s when people were talking about it. They found a little underground book here and there. And I find that the sheer volume of what they have, knocks out any type of American productions at all. And
you have entire studios in there, though, with tons of apprentices that are kicking on, especially if you look at, what is it, Manhwa from Korea.
Manhwa,
They
yeah,
have-
the manhwa from Korea. Yeah.
They have assembly lines. They have people up there that do nothing but draw automobiles all day in the background. They just the main guy pencils them in, and then he goes through and finishes them all off and puts in all the detail. So they've got it down almost like a Henry Ford assembly line in a lot of places. So their productivity is really high. Yeah.
And the American way will never be able to match that ever.
Well, the artists over there are also looked at completely different than what we look at comic artists here in America as well. Because over there, they're treated the same, or they're looked at the same as any fine artist. You know, as a great producer of culture and you know, not just entertainment. Where here we're comic book artists.
Those people are also like literally killing themselves for that. They do not take care of themselves in any like reasonable way. Like they don't sleep. They like wake up and they just like do comics, and they like keel over like super young.
Well, there's a lot of us in the independent market that have been doing that since the 80s and trying to pay bills.
Yeah, it's nuts. Like you got to take care of yourself. Like, do you want to just be able to do like a whole lot of comics like until you're like 50 or something, or do you want to be able to do this like well into your retirement?
50 or something.
I mean, what?
I know, right? I know, right, Randy? Yeah.
Jack Kirby and John Buscema. John Buscema, what? Okay, there's a list out there somewhere.
A huge list.
There's a huge list, but there's one specific one where it lists how many pages each comic book artist has done and who's done the most, right? Yeah. So there was I'm drawing a blank. Who's the gentleman who did Superman Forever? Randy.
Which Superman Forever?
No, not the title Superman Forever.
Oh, you're talking Superman. Kurt Swan?
Kurt Swan, yes. He's Swan. Number one. He's number one, like at 24,000 pages, because he did every Superman, you know, you could imagine. But John Buscema is number two at around 23,000. Yeah, and Jack Kirby, I think, comes in at 3.
Yeah.
And you hear the legendary stories of Jack, where he's producing what, like a comic in a week, you know, which is nuts. And he's number 3.
There's a lot of great stories in comic history about how fast books were thrown together. Yeah. That because they had to make deadlines back then, or they caught a heavy fine.
Yeah.
So
Paul says yes, it's an audience that was starved and found what they want on manga, but teens want to have stuff that are targeted towards them. Larry says t-shirts are good. Yeah, Larry, t-shirts are awesome.
T-shirts good.
Yes, t-shirts good. Black and White multiple ingots are on a book. Larry comes back with more t-shirts. And mega fast, cheaper. Here comics delayed months for less. Yes, Kurt Swan. There you go.
Kurt Swan.
But I mean, it's funny. Like, I've been seeing the influence of manga since the 80s, right? When I started with this guy named Matt Lunsford, right? And we were doing books called Dreamweavers. We eventually did La Blue Girl. We did Tenchi and all this stuff. And I remember way back when I was like, man, nobody wants this stuff. You know, this is in the 80s, and now it's like everywhere. You know, and we ended up the work we did professionally was based on anime. So, you know, it was just this weird American manga that we were doing. But yeah, I think culturally, what's going to be interesting is, as Americans, we like to see our full color comics, right? But manga's black and white primarily, right? When does that start to become accepted again? Because we had the boom in the 80s, right, for black and white comics, but was always this huge shift towards color comics, right?
Comics in the newspaper during the week were black and white all the time for many years.
Right. You know, but the books that we're doing, The Realm, Aniverse, all those books, right? Cerebus, you know, black and white, and they were excellent books. But it's just like, you know, is that shift ever going to come back into popularity in American style comics? Which is interesting because, you know, like I said, I do both. I do some color, I do some black and white, you know, mostly black and white, because it's just less expensive, because, you know, that's just an extra mouth I got to feed on the thing. So it's just it was just crazy. But it's interesting to see where that's going to shift, if it ever does. Mitch, what's up, Mitch? Is in my experience, people keep telling me they want t-shirts, but they never buy them when I have them. Okay.
That's pretty standard with a lot of people. You know, not just t-shirts. They all come up to you at conventions and go, when are you going to do the big poster and all of this? And you do the big poster, and then you have a hard time selling it.
Right. Glenn Glenn is
We
talking.
do
about
the big poster, yeah.
There you go. Nice. Yeah. Glenn is talking about a main subject which I haven't even touched on yet. That'll be the next question, Glenn. So anyway. Mark, you're up, sir.
I got a simple one, a simple lob question, very easy one for everybody this time, hopefully. What is more important for the independent creator, the quality of the book or the marketing? So let me put it into perspective. Let's say you have an artist you can choose from. You can have like a really good artist, you can have a really crappy cheap artist, and you can use that money for marketing. What's the more important thing to do? Where do you go?
That's interesting. Ryan, you're up.
I mean, obviously having a quality book is gonna make the marketing easier, but I feel like if you're able to market, it's gonna bring more of the audience into the book, and if it's got better quality, it's gonna sell better. But I personally have found it very difficult to like invest into the marketing side of it. Like I don't think from where I'm at that spending money on social media outreach and things like that is going to really do much. Like I'm still like growing my audience to the point where that's going to be an actual like make sense financially. So I more try to do the quality stuff. I hire out my letters with like the best letter I can get that Dave Lentz, if you don't mention his name, it's super mad. But I'd rather do that, hire cool artists, cool pinups, stuff like that, make the book the best it can be. So then hopefully later on when I grow and do more stuff, that the using the outreach and using the media stuff is going to make more sense.
All right, cool. Sam, what are you thinking?
Quality first and foremost. The nice thing about being a small indie guy is that people aren't yet waiting on us to produce books every month. So, I mean, I've been selling 47 Furious Tales issue 1 for 3 years now, and for a lot of people, they never heard of it, and then they're like, oh, "Okay, cool. Well, is issue 2 out? Yeah, issue 2 is here. Issue 3. How about 4? This year, come to the Kickstarter." You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, I think that if you have the quality and focus on the quality and tell the best story you can, and then work really hard to improve your stuff. Listen to what other people are saying. Listen to, even if the criticism sounds way out there, listen to what they're saying. I'm not saying accept everything as true, but listen to what people are saying. If you find that there is something that, hey, maybe I can improve something by doing this and leveling up a little bit, make the effort to do that. A good example in the novelization world about someone who leveled up really well and it paid off is Jim Butcher. He brought out his first Dresden Files book. It was a fun book. As a technical, you look at it technically, it wasn't very well written. The second book was a little better written, better editing. Wasn't quite as strong a story. But then you get to the third book and you start to see definite differences in the leveling up of his writing ability, and that continued all the way through Turncoat, where he kind of plateaued. And I think that if you're willing to put in the effort and focus on your quality and keep learning, you're going to gradually gain that audience that you're looking for, and people will come back and find your book. Excuse me.
All right, cool. Randy, what are you thinking?
Well, I think it's a rough conundrum, and another really good question, because where can you put your money at to do the most good when you're marketing? That's another thing. That's been a big problem. I think that's the major problem right now for the indies, because there's a lot of just phenomenal products coming out that very few people are seeing, and it's not necessarily crowdfunding's fault. It's not necessarily the creators' fault, because they're out there trying to push and hump and do every podcast they can get their hands on and spread the word. But there has to be more chances made outside in the marketing area in order to attract more eyes into the indie market. I'm not sure how that works. I'm not sure how it can be done, but somebody eventually is going to end up investing and taking a couple of radical chances in oddball marketing that's going to end up paying off for them. You know, but quality always. You want to always try to make the best quality product that you can and to learn from the book that you did before. That's all part of being an artist. That's all part of learning your craft and applying what you've learned to your next product. So many young creators out there get so bound up in trying to make the perfect book, especially their first one. You never see a second one. You know, it's one of many reasons why you never see a number two, but you really have to learn to stake your claim, do your work, get it out, market it as best as you can with whatever or however means you can. Some people don't believe in spending any money at all on marketing and still have very successful books. That if I knew the secret formula, believe me, I'd be doing it all the time. I would. But it's just this market is so awesome right now as far as the indies and the alternative market goes, because it's literally the Wild West. Everybody can learn from everybody else. And like Brian K. Morris always says, a rising tide raises all boats. Yep. Everybody should be learning from everybody else.
Too true. All right, cool. Let me run through these real quick. Jason says quality. Zymphonic says, yeah, 100% right. JD has taken many years for manga and anime to be in the mainstream, and now it is everywhere, and so many people want to be mangaka, and 90% of them are not. Well, yeah, it's hard to be one of those. Gotta know comics is long-term. Quality will bring customers back and keep you looking good. Marketing will bring that quick buck. Zymphonic says quality 100%. Greetings all. And Jake says, work at smaller scales and build the stamina. No need to chuck out the epic at the first go. This is true. To answer the question, I always say quality. The reason being is that I'm going to pull something out. All right. That's a book I did a long time ago. Right. And if you look at this book.
Blow it up.
Yeah.
There you go.
My old eyes can't see. There we go.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Pen and ink. You know, old Chodo Skirt Scott. This is a parody book. So if you can tell, we're parodying Wildstorm, the old Wildcat.
Is that Matt's work?
Yes, this is Matthew. Mm-hmm. You know, we have a Rob Liefeld section in here, right?
Where everybody gets large shoulders and small ankles.
Yes, that's exactly what that is. You see that? There's a. Let me see if I can.
Lots of pouches.
Yeah.
You never know when you're gonna need something. That's what the pouches are for.
This is a very famous panel from one of Rob Liefeld's comics that he swiped from Frank Miller for Ronin. But anyway, this is a book that I intend at some point to have colored up, and I'm going to put it out again. And we did that book in '94, and you know, I feel it passed the test of time, right? You look at it, and I don't think anyone, whether I told you it was done in '94 or 2 weeks ago, I don't think you're really going to be able to question me on that, right? It's the same thing I always say. The Peonies, right? Wendy and Richard, they're my heroes. You look at, it's funny. There was the old Starblaze comics that used to come out. They were in full color and they were reproducing ElfQuest. This was back in the day.
Very pretty, very slick. Yeah.
Well, you know, it's funny. I didn't like them.
Really?
I didn't like them. No, because I thought the
color was too gaudy.
Yeah, it was muddy, right? Yeah. But Dark Horse did a reprint in black and white of all those books, and I was like, "Whoa!" Now I understand. She was and is as good as any illustrator back then. Like, you could put her right next to John Buscema, you'd be like, yeah, you know, George Torres, John Byrne, any of those guys, any of those classic guys, and it was just like, wow, you know. So, and her work has been, the Peonies have done a fantastic work of reprinting those books in various forms, various companies over the years, and it's incredible. Yes. And I mean, like I said, those are my heroes. I intend on having Oswald in like 50 different formats, you know, if at all possible. It's going to be in full color, black and white, manga size, trade paperback, 6x9, every size and format I could get it in, I'm going to do it, you know, because I think that's the way you keep it alive. And as long as the work is good, I think it will sell, you know. So yeah, that's my, well, and Mark, answer your own question. What do you got?
So as I've always mentioned, I always compare comics, indie comics, to movies, TV shows, and you got to think of how many products are made on a monthly basis, on a daily basis, on a weekly basis. How many of those never see the light of day? They're made, they exist, they're on somewhere, but you can't find it. So I think marketing should be considered more important than quality, because how many things have you seen that you can say, I've heard of that. It might be crap, but you've heard of it. Now, if it's quality and you can hear about it, that's awesome. But if you can't hear about it, there's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to improve. So you can have better marketing, have a sucky book, and people can see it, and then you can start to improve on that book with the quality. But since people know of it, then they can see the improvement. If nobody knows you're out there, if no one can see or know where to find your book, what good is the best book ever? Everybody has the greatest American novel. Everybody has one novel written in that they can make, right? So if you write that book right now and nobody sees it, and then you're buried with that book, what good is it if there's no marketing attached?
But there's always the question of, are we artists or are we businessmen, right? And we're in the business of art, right? But the question has to always be is like, which one matters to us more, right? I'd rather produce a good book or a great book or whatever that's obscure and very few people know than produce a shitty book that sells millions of copies. You understand? Because in the end, I guess I can eat filet mignon every night. You understand? But that's my body and that's not my soul, right? So, you got to ask yourself, are you feeding your soul or you want to feed your body? Because like I've told people before, man, go out. You want to feed your body? Go out, get yourself a degree in business, take your ass down to Wall Street and sell your soul. Because you'll be working 70 hours a week, but you'll make a couple $1 million a year. You can do it. It can be done. Smart and vicious. You need to be those two things. You can go down there and make cash. All right? So if that's what you want to do with your life, go do it. Don't do it in comics. I feed my soul here. My body, that's what I got a day job for.
Well, one of the big positives right now being in the independent and alternative market, just like what Sam said earlier, he's been selling his book for the last 3-4 years, and has people coming into conventions all the time. So we've got some time to play with marketing. We're not doing dated material. There's not another issue chasing on the first one, 30 days later. So we absolutely have to move a tremendous amount of product. We can do shows. We can, there are people that are going to be discovering our books 3, 4, 5 years from now, that if we print it in large quantities, they'll be able to come into a show and pick up our entire catalog, or we'll offer it at the next crowdfunding campaign that we do. So that's one of the big advantages right now with the alternative and independent market. But I really think that there needs to be a lot of experimentation done, because we are the creative ones out there, and that includes marketing as well as quality.
And I would point out too that when you are yourself not the writer and artist and letterer, when you're I speak as an experience from the person who's writing and publishing. When you have a responsibility to make sure you're paying people well, and that's my take on it. I try to pay my people as well as absolutely possible. Then there's a burden on you that you have to rise to meet in the business aspect.
Yeah.
So, for example, my model, I sell a lot. The money that I make from comics and RPGs and stuff is primarily off of Kickstarter and off of crowdfunding. Crowdfunding basically helps to finish funding books and by printing usually, and then get stuff shipped out. This year we're gonna step a little further out in there and lean heavier on the crowdfunding. But when it comes down to it, and you've got artists who are needing work, and that's more and more this year, it seems like. I don't know whether it's from the pressure people are feeling from AI generated images, or just from the compression of creators from the current economic model. But when you've got people who look at you as one of their primary clients, then you need to step up and make sure that you're getting those books out. You need to make it happen. We were in 39 stores until this month. We're now down to 38 because one of the shops we supply went out of business, unfortunately. But we're always looking to get in other stores. I've got emails out to different vending machine companies looking for manga comic book vending machines. We're going to try and put a couple of them in Lexington and Louisville and see how that market fares. And then we've been trying to talk the folks into Kroger for us to distribute comics on the shelves there. The problem is, of course, Sonoma books so far probably don't work for Kroger's environment, given everything steel flashing, blood flowing, and people getting decapitated. So we either need to tone it back or look to a different market. So for example, for tipping or time traveling psychedelic mushrooms, we are primarily marketing towards marijuana dispensaries, head shops, tattoo parlors, that kind of thing. So we're trying to put books where people can buy them to make that happen.
Yeah.
So not saying that you draw a little stick figure and then put it out, but because that's part of marketing, is getting into different places. Let's look at the two. Let me just throw out the two biggest things I can think of comic books right now: the Berserker and the what was that? The Eric verse, the Eric guy.
Eric July.
Yeah. No one has said, "Wow, this book is really good." I've only heard, "Oh my God, look how much money this book made." Oh my God, look how much that's all marketing. And whether or not that book is any good, everybody's heard of it. So there has to be a level where you decide, I'm proud of my work. I can put out more. It could be better, but I want to use that money instead of getting a top artist, a cover artist or something. Let me go and throw that money into marketing.
Well, here's the thing though. Let's take someone like Eric July, right? With Isom, right? The thing is Eric July could have sold 1 million pairs of socks.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter. He could have sold 1 million T-shirts, 1 million sweaters. It doesn't matter because he has an audience from his hip hop days, or and also doing his YouTube videos. It has nothing to do with comics, right? Or his abilities, or lack of, or plus whatever. It doesn't matter. I haven't read it, so I don't know. It looks good, but he could have sold 1 million. But that's just him being who he is. Same thing goes with Keanu Reeves and Berserker, right? I mean, he can go out there and sell malt liquor or gin. I mean, he's gonna sell 1 million bottles. He's Keanu Reeves. He just stand there one time, John Wick, and whatever, we're all gonna be like, yeah, sure, fuck it, let's go buy that thing, right? But it's one of those things where in those guys, I think it's a little unfair. They're already famous. You know what I mean? When people are already famous, it's like bringing in The Rock. Could you imagine The Rock trying to convince people to buy a comic? How many books he would probably sell, right? It was like, it's like, oh, we put The Rock in a comic. Okay, I mean, it's not that big of a sell. It's not that hard of a sell,
Right. Okay.
What is it? Wesley Snipes did his comics. He didn't make as much as those two guys, but he still made over 100,000.
Sylvester Stallone's done a couple books. Yeah. Even
Exactly.
Jamie Lee Curtis has written a couple of graphic novels. She's had illustrated. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, when you're famous, you're going to have your fans go in there. And then God forbid you got a level where you have the star sign a book where it's like $500 a signature, right?
Yeah.
Because, it's like Keanu Reeves, how many people are going to be online, And I mean, like, you could probably sell 1,000 or make $500,000 on that, right? So, being famous helps, And I mean, like I said, I'm not going to tell you that, not to advertise your book. You need to go out there and push it as hard as you can. But if you got a choice, I would always say full on quality, always, and then focus on the other thing, because Sam is 110% correct when it's like, for myself, I always tell everybody, so the money doesn't come to me, right? All the money that I raise, I put back into the art. It goes right back out to my artists, right? And I'm feeding them. That's the way I look at it. I'm helping them. I'm helping their families. They're helping me achieve my dreams. And that's the way I look at it.
I don't know of how much marketing. I haven't seen a lot of marketing that you have to pay for that actually brought you a good return. Especially when it comes to comics. Where do you go? Your best bet if you're gonna, you don't need to advertise online because there's podcasts like these. You go out and you spread the word. Facebook ads never did anything for me. I don't know about everybody else, but
You got to put up.
or any ads in any other platform really don't do that well, or give you that kind of return. Like I said, somebody needs to go out there and start playing and experimenting in different creative ways and see what can work.
Yeah, Facebook ads. My understanding is that they do work, but you have to put a lot of money in. I mean, it's like we're talking about.
It's going to have to take a lot. Yeah,
is it like tens of thousands of dollars? I mean, Ryan is part of the same group that I'm part of, and the guy who runs it, he says he spends $20,000 in Facebook ads a year. Wow. But he is also making his campaigns are making 30, 40, 50 and above. So I get it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So the proof is in the pudding. He has his success, but you gotta start small and build your way up. But it's rough, man. It's rough.
The only thing I've seen it do is take away my my hits.
Oh yeah, hits. Yeah,
it saw it take a whole zero away from me from putting an ad out, and then you get bombarded by emails telling me how much my reach can grow if I take out more ads.
Yeah, that's always how it works.
I will offer up this because I've enjoyed a lot of success for something that myself and Max DeVille and Larry Patrick Higgins have been doing, and a few others. Armand Nassim and I have done something similar to this, where we have cross-promoted very, very energetically. So if you look in the back of the Reign of Ages books, you'll see ads for Max DeVille's books. You'll see ads for Niobe with Larry Patrick Higgins. You'll see ads for Pete Vasquez and his artwork. If you look in the back of Max DeVille's, you'll see in this next one, Tipping Her Time Traveling Psychedelic Mushroom ad. You're going to see Larry Patrick Higgins. You'll see Phil Leon as a colorist and Pete Vasquez as an artist ads in the back. And the same for Larry, with everyone alternating there. With Armand Nassim and myself, we have cross-populated with crossover art prints and such distributed to people who've backed at physical levels for both campaigns that we're running in tandem. And that kind of thing, cross-pollinating between different audiences has had a really positive impact for me personally through 2022. And I think that there's a lot to be said, excuse me, for that. And then also, and this might sound a little aggressive, but don't discount the benefit that ads can bring. So, and I'm not talking about swallowing $10,000 on an ad or something like that. I'm talking about ads that you're doing that make sense. A good example is the Gemini mailer folks will actually pay you in store credit for ads on your book. Now, that was enough that it actually paid for the Geminis that we used for all of the Reign of Ages issue 2 campaign. It was a little close, but it did cover the whole thing. And so when you're shipping 180 or 200 different packages, being able to kill that part of the expense only helps your bottom line. And then there's other things that have more long-reaching effects. We've done ads for the Kubert School that we didn't charge them for, but puts us in real good communication with up-and-coming artists that are coming out of the institution. We just had a couple of those guys on the Dungeons and Dames book that we released last year. So that kind of thing, try to be forward-thinking about your development. Doesn't require a lot of out-of-pocket, but it does require a very clear cognition of what you want to do with marketing, not just for yourself, but in tandem with other people, so that you can, kind of co-opt and grow into other audiences.
So with the promoting other people in your books, are you still using media mail to ship? Because media mail
will get me fined like crazy here, because comics can't be shipped media mail from here in Kentucky. Our postmaster will just
comics are allowed.
They are not according to my postmaster. Everything I ship is first class or priority, because they will literally throw it away. I've been told that point blank.
I just found out that they changed the rules as of the start of January, and any package that's over 13 ounces has to go priority. At least that's what I was told here. So I lost my ability to ship anything first class.
So
if I want to send more than 3 or 4 comics.
Everything in my software still goes up to 16 ounces.
Yeah.
I was told the same thing by another individual who does indie comics. So far, that seems that's not the case. Everything I've been shipping this week to people buying stuff online, it's been fine. Everything's made it to its destination, no problem.
Well, next time I ship a package out, I'll use a different post office. And see
are you using a pirate ship or stamps.com or something like that?
No, but I need to. Yeah.
Yes, because you're gonna save a lot of money on that.
I'm sure.
But yeah, I don't use media mail other than for RPG books. And if they have an ad in it, you can't use media mail anyway.
Yeah,
so
that's why I was asking.
Yeah, but yeah, for comics,
save probably more using the media mail than you would using the ad space.
Well, no, I mean, especially when you consider like for crowdfunding, I build in my shipping costs into my calculations, plus the Kickstarter fees, packaging costs, the whole nine. So my crowdfunding plans are not to profit on the crowdfunding; it's to complete the project, and then my money making is my business aspect at conventions, shipping directly to retailers, things like that. A good example, because I don't have the numbers in front of me for Necroholic 1, but for Reign of Ages 2, we shipped over 900 copies of Reign of Ages 2 to different retailers for one book, which was the largest we had done from one campaign. Most of those were actually done outside through PayPal because we set up like backer specific like store tiers and everything, and that works really well until we had store owners who were having people reach out and say, well, if you're doing this for Sinopa, you can do this for us, and that's not really how you approach that, guys. So we ended up with a lot of stores. They're just like, well, we'll just send us the invoice during the campaign once it funds, and we'll go ahead and do it. That's what we ended up doing. Excuse me. Sorry.
Yeah, and Sam, never be afraid to be aggressive on this show. That's what we're all about.
Yeah, and I don't mean to sound it. I'm still fighting the flu a little bit, but that has made a tremendous effort for me. And the getting on the store shelves, even though the profit margin is far, far smaller, has the benefit of, it keeps me in communication with these store owners. I can find out what's selling. I have direct contact with them. And I have a lot more willingness to communicate with them on shows that they're doing online, Facebook shows, things like that, whether it's Johnny Reed or whether it's Danny Morales or whether it's Kurt or whether it's Tim down at the Hive or what have you. It's good to have those connect. Or, oh my God, Michael. Sorry, Cosmic Capes. Hey guys, or Mike. And these things they pay off because you can get stuff out there. And if people are kind of tentative about a new title, then we've got two of the shops that all I had to do is say, hey, if you're not into it yet, here, let me send you a PDF, see what you think. And if you want to go ahead and wait until after that, that's fine. We had a couple others, like 5 or 6, that literally instead of going ahead and doing that, they took some of the images we sent them, they put it out on their stores, on the store monitors and everything. And if people are interested in it, they just point them to the Kickstarter. And they asked them to sign off on there. And if they got to 10 people or more, they said, you know what, let's just go ahead and do this. We'll go ahead and order it in. And then those people would back out of the Kickstarter, which hurt the total, not going to lie. But then all of a sudden we're shipping 25 books to that shop to get those filled there. And whether it's 5 books on the shelf, 10 books on the shelf, whatever, people seeing that when they come to Kickstarter and like, oh, it's Reign of Ages on Kickstarter. Yeah, I know that book from my shop. It makes a hell of a difference.
All right, I'm just want to run through these real quick. We got from Paul. No one heard of my first book through the campaign, but now the numbers are high. Award causes of quality. Agent Zero says ISIM is great, which is cool. Patrick Calder says, "What's up? What's up, Patrick?"
What's up, Patrick?
Zimfine said, even though I got 162 rejections, quality got me my TV deal. There you go. Paul says, have to think outside the box. Why not pay another indie who has a bigger audience or an influencer? Nice. Larry says, ads are good. There you go. Paul says, JD Calderon Super Bowl special touchdown. There you go. Patrick Keller says, Pirate Ship explicitly said comics are not allowed in media mail. We read that today. I've still been shipping that way. And Mitch says, I save a lot using media mail. There you go.
So
If you
with the
go on the
quality,
Media Mail website, it does say graphic novels are part of what is allowed to be shipped through Media Mail. They just cannot have ads.
Right.
And that means you can't ship like prints, stickers, any kind of little tchotchkes. Like none of that's supposed to go. Like if you do it and they open it up, it will get sent back to you.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we've heard about that one before. But Randy, you're up.
Okay, fine. Get your. I guess I'm going to go with an easy one. Get your crystal balls out and tell me where comics are going to be in 10 years.
Nice.
10 years.
Okay.
5
Right.
years, 10 years. Where are we going? Where are we going and why?
All right.
I see a lot of Wile E. Coyote painting the tunnel on the side of the mountain going
Mhm.
on. And the Roadrunner, the first one through, is able to go through it. And then when Wile E. tries it, boom, he slams into the mountain.
Nice.
Where are
Sam,
where are we going? 5-10 years.
I think in the next 2 years, in the next two years, we're gonna have digital comics where you have GIFs as the covers, and some inside the interiors for little brief clips of animation. I think that's going to become pretty common in the next 2 years.
How's that going to be sales wise? Or is there going to be a?
I think it's gonna. I think it's going to have a real positive influence on the first adopters for it. Again, we're talking digital.
So new platforms like Global Comics popping up in.
Yeah, I haven't done
that kind
anything
of
with
product.
Global Comics myself, but yeah, I think Global Comics, we're going to see them pulling a lot more people away, especially with the cluster that was Comixology. I think you're going to keep seeing people who are, print shops that have their own websites that are continuing to host. Like we see that with Comics Wellspring, or 25 books, they'll put it on their shelves and host it and such like that.
Yeah.
You'll see it with there's a couple other small print shops that are doing something similar to that, like where they have print on demand. People order it there and they'll ship it for you and then pay you a royalty, so you're really hands off. I think drive-through comics is really not going to come back to ever print on demand for comics, just because of how Lightning Source basically views it. But that doesn't change the fact that drive-through comics has been really good for me for sales for comics, so I can't discredit that. As far as print comics, I think that we're going to see more titles and smaller press runs, which is going to necessitate a higher price on the product. And so you're going to see larger books 10 years from now. I think you're going to see more, when you look at print, you're going to see titles that are more like 48, 60, 64 pages in length, done by smaller studios that are putting stuff together and really trying to get something to stick. And you're going to continue to see your webtoon guys trying to market their stuff into other formulations, because webtoons is so competitive that some really good books just aren't making it that should be. So I think it's just going to be more competitive, particularly in 10 years.
More competitive.
More competitive, yes. More titles, smaller press runs. I think that Marvel and DC are going to be very, very hard pressed 10 years from now if they don't turn around something really seriously to see main titles doing 50,000 copies. I think
they're not doing 50,000 copies now.
No.
Well, no, there's some that are, but not very many.
2030.
Right.
Yeah.
Ryan, what are you thinking?
So, I mean, it's already kind of happening now, where I just think more and more people are going to just be using Kickstarter as their publisher. Going to a publisher is just less and less appealing. You're seeing a lot of them close up shop through COVID, and like people losing their rights. A lot of horror stories coming out of it, and like people are talking and saying like, don't pitch to publishers now. So I kind of think Kickstarter is going to continue to be like the biggest publisher for comics. And I think I kind of think that's interesting what he's saying about how it's going to be more competitive. But I think like if you're going to Kickstarter, it's going to be kind of nicer because you're going to be able to have more of a connection to your audience. It's going to be like a more intimate connection. Like, you're going to know the people that are supporting you. And I think that even if you're not like, one of the top dogs or whatever, like you're still going to be able to be successful. I'm not too keen on digital comics. Like I hear a lot of talk about digital comics, like, you know, it was supposed to be this next big thing. And now like I was just on a podcast recently with like Clay Adams, and he was talking about how like comparing it to streaming, how like streaming doesn't really generate any revenue. And now it's like we're seeing how these people that, you know, just were trying to get as much stuff out there in front of everybody, it's like becoming a real struggle for them to stay in business. So like trying to go to places like webtoons and things like that, like things that are like digital only, isn't even like appealing to a lot of people. So I really think that Kickstarter is like it's going to continue to be the biggest publisher, and it's going to be where most people end up getting most of their indie books from.
All right, that's fair. Mark, what are your thoughts?
So I do remember that digital comics was supposed to be the next thing. Motion comics was supposed to be the thing. They've been talking about that for a long time. It kind of just petered out. I do think that, I don't know how yet, but somebody somewhere is going to figure out the distribution system, that's what we need to be done. Because as I mentioned many times, I used to work for a movie theater for 10 years. And the biggest thing back then was that the movie theater studios hate the movie theaters, and they want to get the product directly to the customer. And they were talking, this is about 15, 20 years ago, about how can they figure out to get their movie into people's cars, into people's homes, and then all of a sudden the streaming service happened. And this now they're happy as pigs in crap. So there has to be somebody out there who's thinking about it now. With 10 years down the line, there'll be somebody who you can go to a local comic book store, you can go anywhere and just hit the button, boop, you order your comic book, and it'll be either sent to you physically, or you'll be able to like, you know, take a preview online in the either, you know, you go to the comic book store, you hit the button, it goes like onto an app, you get like the first page or so for free, and then you can order it. But I think there has to be some way that's going to happen somehow, some way. Somebody's working on it right this very second. That's how I see what the future of comics is going to be.
All right, cool. Before I answer, I'm going to put up a couple of these. Jake says in 10 years, covers will be in .wm or WebM.
WebM.
It's gifts are, I would imagine that's shit for cover use. And then Mitch says, I've had a lot of people interested in my books because I have some up online. It's led to a lot of new customers and readers. Here you go, Randy. I don't have any predictions, but what I do have are my desires of what I would like to see, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully in the next 5 years. Lightning Source, I was always intrigued because one of the things is they have offices all over the world, right? Mm-hmm. Australia, Europe, so on and so forth. I did one campaign where I released a book to them where I was able to have them fulfill in Europe and cut down that shipping cost because they shipped it directly from Europe and Australia, which I find that to be fascinating. Now,
what exactly is Lightning Source?
Lightning Source is they're connected to
through
Abrams.
Through RPG and Abrams, yeah.
Through where?
Through Abrams. They're like one of the biggest publishing houses forever, and they're one of the biggest distributors in the world. Mm-hmm. So through them, you are basically open to like libraries and Barnes and Nobles and all these other big publishers, but they also offer smaller services to smaller publishers where you can send them a list. They charge you a fee, obviously. But that fee, like, you know, we know it costs $40-$50 to ship overseas. In some cases, you ship to Australia and New Zealand, forget about it. It could be $70-$80. Whereas that fee will go down to like $10, right? And you can pass those savings on to your customers, you know, which is what I did. So you can open up those markets. What I'd like to see is, but the only problem is they don't really do comic books, right? They don't do saddle stitch books. Right. They do trades primarily. They do color, but they use a funky technology for the color. They're using HP created a system a few years ago where they could print 2,000 ppm a minute, and it's all inkjet based. And the colors, it's okay, but it's not great, right? It's not like the sort of thing you get from Xerox or Konica or any of these other companies that have web presses. I mean, digital web presses, right? So that technology is just superior. Like I said, the HP, it's okay. It's just not, I personally don't like it. So if they were to upgrade to some of these other systems where like a Xerox or a Konica or Canon or name a company, there's like 50 of them, that produce digital web presses, and up that system. It would be fascinating to be able to sell books overseas,
Mhm.
right, as indies,
Mhm.
and be able to sell it at a lower shipping rate because
Yeah.
they're going directly from the thing. There won't be any stretch goals, but you'll be able to save a lot on shipping. So that's one of my hopes. The other one is everybody's talking about AI, right? One of my dreams for AI has always been the universal communicator, right? I mean, like, just us being able to translate and read other languages. So imagine if we were using an AI and I could translate my books into Japanese, and and people in Japanese, and I could literally put out a book in Japanese and have the Japanese public through this lightning source system, where I don't have to have a publisher out there. I don't have to be out there. I can be like, who are you? Boom. And I can just send it out to them, right? Whether it be digital, physical, whatever. So, like I said, I don't have predictions. I just have what I would like to see. Like, whether or not I'm going to be able to see it or not, who knows? So,
Now, I do have another thought, something I expect to see,
what's up, Pete?
and it's specific to crowdfunding. I
Mhm.
think that we're going to see, especially with more crowdfunding platforms coming online, I think that we're going to see more innovation in the next 3 to 5 years, hands down. We've already got Zoop, where they've integrated direct fulfillment, and they don't have the traffic yet, but they're working on it. Crowdfunder has implemented some incredibly useful features that Kickstarter is either going to clone or they're out of their freaking minds. Everything from being able to copy previously existing reward tiers so that you don't have to recreate them from whole cloth, being able to process different payment vendors, being able to brand the page to your own company, things like that. These are some really intriguing features. And Kickstarter always asks all of us, hey, what can we do to make things better? And you tell them, and then a year later, maybe they implement one of those things. I think they're going to have to accelerate that. They have the first mover advantage. When people think crowdfunding, they think Kickstarter. And I think that if they want to stay the top dog, they're going to have to pay attention to what's going on because they're going to get left. So I think what we'll see eventually with Kickstarter and with other platforms, I think we'll start to see creator catalogs for digital specifically. And then some of the larger ones we may see like print on demand services where they're, enabling print products to be picked up under that creator catalog and then automatically distributed, just like a storefront. And so I'd say we'll probably see that definitely within 5 years.
Gotcha. Paul writes, I just signed with ASAP Imagination, UK based, reaching Canada and Australia, me and US. I'm talking shipping advantages. Okay. I have to look into those guys. All right, cool. So
I'll show you the future of comics.
go
Right
ahead.
there. Chick publications, absolutely black and white free, and truck stops.
Nice.
That's the future of comics right there.
That's the future.
No, not really, but they are funny. But anyway, I think Sam's right. There's so much technology that's getting ready to break out. Somebody's going to start paying attention and see that there's actual money to be made here, and start catering to the indie and alternative creator. I think the larger corporations have given up on print completely, that they're just dealing with it as a necessary evil, and that it's really beneath them. They can't look down their nose to spite their face. I think we're seeing that now, them paying for that lack of attention now on the other entertainment as it translates through the movies and the streaming services and stuff. They're trying to do the more modern material, and the more modern material just doesn't seem to be catching on. Oh well, there's a reason for that. That modern material doesn't have the quality that a lot of the older stuff used to have. There's still some great stuff out there, don't get me wrong, but a lot of it's hurting in really bad ways, and a lot of that is because of corporate apathy. If they were to pay more attention to the print books, if they were to actually try to decide to go after the audience. I think we're seeing so many examples, and I think we're going to see this in the publishing, book printing, magazine printing world as well. You're going to see overseas, European, more Japanese influence. Italy and France, they're selling comics like it's actual literature over there.
Yeah.
Holy
Don't forget
crap.
Germany too.
You know,
Germany
Germany
is
too,
doing
yes.
a whole lot. Yeah, in Germany.
I think you're going to start seeing a lot more of that influence start coming over here because there's a lot of really good, entertaining product over there, and a lot of publishers that realize that that's where there's some money to be made. So it's going to be a real interesting decade, I think, for comics, especially again for the indie and alternative creator. I don't think personally, I don't think the answer's on Kickstarter. I do think the answer's in crowdfunding. I wish that both Kickstarter and Indiegogo would decide to start concentrating and treating comics more seriously, which they desperately need to do as a genuine source of income, because there's money being generated there that they're just not paying a lot of attention to.
Mhm.
You know, and you're going to see the other platforms like Zoop and Crowdfunder and fundmycomic.com spring out and start gaining ground in there and start pulling attention more to indie and alternative comics.
Well, yeah, I mean,
it's going to be an interesting next 5 to 10 years.
To that point, think about what I was just saying a moment ago about a creator catalog that was accessible. If Kickstarter implemented the ability next month for creators to upload their existing digital catalogs that were created through their platform, and people to just download it directly, even with their current pricing model, with them making their 5% cut on that, you're talking about thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars generated with a little piece of code that they would have their investment paid back in a month easily.
That's true, but
revenue source.
Sadly, comics have always been looked at as the Rodney Dangerfield of entertainment. They've never gotten the respect they deserve. They never get and yet they're the consummate, majority of the time, not everybody, majority of the time, they're the consummate professional that's actually able to come out there and generate money.
Yep.
Kickstarter just recently posted for 2 new jobs just for comics.
Just for comics, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
I hope it gets better. I really do, because the sequential art deserves a lot more respect than what it's getting, especially here in the States.
All right. All right, guys. I'm gonna pull up. This is Kenny Aitken's campaign. He couldn't make it today, but this is his address. I mean, his campaign running.
Go to his house.
Apex Cybernetic Super Samurai Owl, Lunar Eclipse 1 through 2. I mean, great book. It's just funky and weird. I love it. All right, so just wanted to give Kenny a quick shout out, and then I'm going to.
I have the first 2 of that. It's pretty fun.
Yes.
And it came with like a pog thing.
Oh yeah, he always sends out a coin. And then here's Rancidville and Odious and a teen century mystery comedy. This is by John Edingfield II. I always forget John's last name. But yeah, he's doing great. He's another funky book. It's a trade paperback. He has 3 of them.
Funkycomics.com. Yeah.
Exactly.
Anyway.
Who's this guy?
If that doesn't say fun right there, nothing does,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Ryan, this is your alternative cover?
Yeah, that's my variant for John's campaign, and then he did one for mine.
Nice. But yeah, man, I mean, it looks awesome. He's doing great.
Cool.
All right, I just wanted to give them a quick shout out. Now we're gonna get on to the real deal. The gentlemen who are actually here. There you go. Nice. All right, Sam, sir, you're up.
Okay. Necroholic, the story of a incredibly powerful, very talented necromancer with quite the drinking problem. This is by Brian Lee. This is our first series that we have published that I myself have not written, but I'm publishing and editing. A fantastic second entry into the series about Livia and the hijinks that ensue because of her problem. In issue 2, we see the arrival of a beautiful young woman who informs her that she's moving in with her. And I'm not going to give away too much of that, but we do have our 3 covers and a few of our interior pages to show off. That first one is the cover by Brian himself, showcasing the beautiful young lady in question. The second is our Virgin variant by Kendall Gates, which is a slightly different take on that character and more of a femme fatale kind of mystique. And our third is our Kickstarter exclusive, which was by Deus Ex Glyphic, which is kind of in this distorted, drunken geometry that I think is really, really pretty intriguing. It plays with perspective a little bit and kind of leans into that. So we've got dark comedy, necromancy, and a cocktail recipe, just as we did with issue 1. And some of our interior pages here. Brian pays a lot of attention to the luggage, as you can see. That bright red really draws the eye. It's not too distracting though, but it does draw the attention of these young men in the panel who are taking pictures of that bright red suitcase. So
nice. So how many issues in the series?
Series is ongoing. The current story arc is plotted out for 24 issues, so we're going to be making this for several years.
Gotcha. All right.
I
Cool.
love
This
that
is
logo.
the first comic that you haven't written yourself, right?
Right. This is the first one that I've published through Sanofi Publishing that I myself have not written. We're going to be adding a second line, which is by Christian Martinez in August, who is a VTuber by the name of Red Claw. And his will be out on Kickstarter in August and shipping in September. So we're going to be adding more properties.
So can you talk a little bit about being, I guess, the publisher end as opposed to being the creative end?
Yeah, as a publisher, I find that there's a lot more intensity to the burden that you carry trying to make someone else succeed. You know, trying to get books on shelves, trying to get that sent far and wide. Brian is very much the canary in the coal mine with this. Thankfully, I've known him for 24 years. We go back until the days when he was a kid coming into my comic shop. But we made his first issue happen, and he's been selling copies and making money from those sales directly. His book is being sold through 3 different venues right now as far as online. A handful of shops have placed some orders for it. There's a few shops that actually can't carry it because of the cocktail recipe in it, and local ordinances kind of get in the way. So that is one thing that hits that with your local comic shop. But Kickstarter fans that read the first one have been coming back pretty well. With the backers that we have right now, almost all of them are returning backers, so we definitely need to step up our outreach on finding new folks. And quick thing about the cocktail here, if you scroll down a little bit, that's actually digitally painted. That's not a photograph. That's by Brian. He did that just so very well.
Yeah.
But as I was saying, almost all of the current backers are return backers, and then we've got another 112 backers that have potential backers that have saved the campaign that have not yet pledged, and we're in our 5th day. So 21-day campaign, 16 days left, fully funded. Our first stretch goal is going to unlock at 5,000, and we should be revealing that about the time we hit 3,000. We're waiting until Brian can finish the illustration, which has to wait until he finishes coloring these last couple of pages.
Nice. Now, why the choice to do 21 days?
Calendar reasons. We have a pretty busy, very full calendar this year for production, including Reign of Ages, issue 3, later on this year, issue 4, 47 Furious Tales, issue 4, Tippy and her Time Traveling Psychedelic Mushrooms, Red Claw, Necroholic, issue 3, Reign of Ages, issue 4. Just a lot of products in the comic space, and then RPG books, Snopa Omnibus Volume 3, maybe Volume 4 as well. A couple of adventure modules, and if time allows, we may finally get to do Moonlight and Mad Men this year.
Nice. Now, so what are you looking at? Like 9 releases? 9
We're
campaigns?
probably looking at 8 to 10, depending on how our production falls in. Of course, the big thing with any of the projects for Snopa is funding. The more money we can put up front in the project, the faster we can get our artists on it. Very, very determined that everyone gets paid, I guess the exception to that is when we do Dungeons and Dames, because basically everyone gets an equal share of the print run, and they go out and sell those at their convention appearances. That's a benefit project we do for the artists. So
Cool. Very nice. All right, cool. I mean, yeah. You
I
made
really-
your goal.
I like that logo.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did a fantastic job on the Necroholic logo. He's Brian's done a lot of work for me on RPG work. He letters 47 Furious Tales. He did all of the line art and coloring on this series. Just absolutely incredible, man. Graduated the Kubrick School. He actually introduced me to most of the people that we get art from.
Very
That's
nice.
great.
Yeah. You know, you're off to a great start, man. You got another, what, 17 days?
16 full
16
days.
days. All right, cool.
And the tiers are designed to be pretty easy on the wallet. We've got some nice digital tiers. We've got some fun add-ons as well, including a toast to the backer. We had our first one this past week already, where every Friday I drink a toast to the backers that week who pledged that add-on. I'm probably going to regret that by the end of this campaign.
All right.
But because shooting my first Friday update, I had to reshoot the video 3 times, because every time I would take a shot, I would gasp for it, because I just don't drink very often. And so the third time was the charm, and I got it down without sputtering too bad.
Nice. All right, cool. Listen,
Well,
man, look.
Doing a shot for every backer, I think you'll be okay.
Well, no, it's just the ones who pledged that add-on. If I tried to do for every backer, we'd be dead.
Yeah.
Well, it would fit with the theme of the book.
I know, right? But I've got too many other books to do to kill myself with alcohol. Plus, you know, single dads dying from alcohol poisoning is just a bad look.
Yeah. This is very true. All right, cool. Now, Mr. Ryan, you're up. Do you want me to play the video?
No, because then it's me talking. That's terrible.
Okay.
That was like a 30-second shot. Like, it's like I did a couple takes, like, just from my camera. I didn't feel like I needed anything special.
Gotcha. All right. So, please tell us about Sunmaker 1 through 3.
So it's a post-apocalyptic fantasy about a man who must decide if preserving his legacy is worth becoming a monster. It's a lot of fun. It pulls a lot of inspiration from like video games. It's got like these. So that's the main character. That's Tim Han. He comes out of a vault. So if you think of like Fallout, coming out of the vault, and he comes out to this post-apocalyptic snow world, and he leaves the vault because he's trying to find the fire that is his ancestor Flame. And to get that, he has to go through these guys that are called Sunbloods. So they're just like these blue ice people. And there's a lot of conflict. It has a lot of duality, hot versus cold, good versus evil. It's a lot of fun. I love the dialogue. The writer, Liam Hayes, it's like all the bad guys talk like everything is music. So it's pretty cool. Like the background is like skulls and like giant bone hands that are sticking up out of the ground. So it's pretty great. It has like a mid-boss battle. So this is for the finale of the series. So this is going to be ending it. And that what you just passed is John and I are actually the guy that does the Ranceville book. We're actually pretty local, and we do all of our conventions together. And we started working on a book. So he's finished with Ranceville for about 2 years now. And he's been like, trying to get me to finish my half of the book because we launch all of our campaigns together. And he finished up Ranceville, and he was trying to work on the next project. And we ended up brainstorming a book that we're calling Worst of Mayhem. And we're actually doing our crossover reward. Like we've done a print in our first campaign. We did a coin in our second campaign. And so for this campaign, if people back at the physical level for both of our campaigns, we're actually going to be printing up a 14-page preview. And you're going to get like a little ash can before the launch of the book later in the year.
Nice.
Yeah, we're really excited. There's a whole bunch of fighting in the giant ice monster.
So when you came up with the idea to have your legacy, but you had to become a monster, was that on the nose for some reason? Did you see something that's like, oh, this is how most people are when they amass giant bowls of wealth, or is there something that was?
So I mean, like it really gives away the story, and it's hard to do it without like giving away the big reveal in the first issue. I mean, if you guys want me to, I will. I mean, I don't mind.
No, you want to. That's what you want to make. Read the book. That's the answer. Read the book.
Read the book.
Yes.
I actually met with gosh, I can't remember his name. His name is Steven something. He did like Superman for a little while. He was a writer on Superman, and he did some other books. I met him at a convention, and he's the one that really helped me get my pitch down. Like when I walked up to his table and I was like talking to him about his book, I was like, "Oh man, you have like a really great con pitch." And he's like, "Yeah, I've been doing this for a while." And he's like, "So I'm guessing you're a creator, and that's why you asked me about the pitch." And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "All right, well, give me your pitch." And it was terrible. And I wish I could remember the advice exactly that he gave me, but it was like really finding the human element of like what your story is about. And like I felt like the legacy of the character was the thing that was the most relevant thing, like what people could relate to, because everybody wants to leave behind a legacy, and most people want to leave behind a positive one. And so like this character is really in conflict of like, you know, does he do what his family wants him to do, or does he follow what's the right thing to do and follow his heart? And he doesn't have like an easy choice. And it kind of, the other character that he meets up with, the other Sunmaker, Marin, like she's kind of representative of the opposite. And so like they get into it together, and this is the final issue where we see where all that builds up and finally releases, and find out what does he decide to do.
Very nice.
This Kickstarter page, I had a lot of help from Brant Fowler. He's like awesome. So if you guys are ever looking for Kickstarter page design, like he did all the caption graphics, he did like the reward mock-ups for me. Like he's a wizard. Like I don't like doing reward tier mock-ups, so like he's like my savior. So that the other cover up there was John Edingfield's variant for mine. When he did the cover for me, he did a cover, and then he's like, you know what, I don't like that cover, so he did another cover, and then he's like, I don't like that cover, and then he did another cover. So if you look at that, I decided, I'm like, you know what, we're using all three covers. So the back cover is a cover, the front cover is a cover, and the inside back cover is going to be a cover. So you get in like all the covers when you back John's variant. I'd never seen anybody do a cover on the front and the back. I was like, I'm just doing this. I think it's going to be so much fun.
Mm-hmm. What's funny is I don't know which one was his perfect, but I like the Tiki Mask one better.
That was his first one.
Uh-huh.
He didn't really like it. That personally, that one's my favorite one.
Yeah.
But they're all great. Like
I mean,
art, like it's so expressive and so fun.
Mm-hmm. He has a Kirby Crackle running. You know?
He was all about that Kirby Crackle.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then that's the variant by Chris Holmes. Because the inspiration for the glove in the comic, I pulled from the old Super Nintendo game Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. Like I literally pulled up the Power Glove and I just added some of the stuff that the writer asked for, like wires and all that, and certain buttons. And so I thought it would have been so cool to do like an homage to the Legend of Zelda. So I reached out to Chris Holmes, who did some pixel art for me as a pinup in issue 2. He also did the GIF that's up at the top of the page. And like I gave him like the general idea, and I drew up like something for him to use, and like he just took that and like knocked it out of the park. Like that legit looks like it could have been like right on a video game.
Yeah, yeah. This cracks me up. I love this. I saw that cover. I was like, oh yeah, that's awesome. All right, so these are all your rewards.
Yeah, that's the stuff that Brant does. Like, he's a magician, man. So if these guys ever need somebody to do Kickstarter pages for you, like, hit that guy up.
He did do a really nice job with those reward tiers. Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. All right, cool. So you got physical, you have digital, right? What is this? You have a sticker?
So I can actually grab that over here. So this is like in video games, you know how they have like collector pieces or whatever. So that is 3 pieces that when they go together, they form the sun from the comic that the guy wears on his belt. And I thought it was kind of like you collect heart pieces or whatever in Zelda, you build up your health meter, you build up your magic meter. So to me, the people that come out and support the campaigns, I thought it would be so cool. Like, if you're backing issue 1, 2, and 3, when you back the collected version that I'm hoping to bring out next year, they're going to be like part of a book plate. So when you back them and you get the stickers from early on, you'll be able to fix them to the book plate. So it'll be like, you were there, you supported the campaign, you were one of the people that helped make this possible. So I thought it would be like a really cool, fun way to like incentivize that and like reward people who came out early and supported it from the beginning. And like now they have something that like nobody else, once they pass the Kickstarter, like will be able to get this.
That's cool. It's a really cool
Very
idea.
nice. Yeah. Cool.
And then my ninjas. Everybody loves them.
So what's the deal with the ninjas?
So like I started collecting them when I was a kid. Like I found one on the side of my house. And I was like, what is this? It's just like this weird plastic ninja. And I found that they were in the junk machines. And so for years, whenever I saw them somewhere, I'm like checking all the junk machines, and as many quarters as I had or dollars as I had, I would buy them. When I started making comics, I literally had a huge supply of like my personal collection of ninjas. And my first Kickstarter campaign, I was like, I used to send them out just in original art. And when I did my first Kickstarter campaign, I was like, you know what? That like people have always like thought this was like a fun little thing. And so I took my personal collection and I put a whole lot of them, like they're in every single physical package, got a little shipping ninja. And now I buy them in like a bulk package, but it's fun. I get a lot of like comments back about it.
Yeah, no, it's awesome.
That's actually really cool. I like that.
Yeah, I have the one you sent me.
That's great. Like it always makes my day when somebody's like, oh yeah, I still got it's like right above my work area. It's like, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's actually where it's at. That's how I was able to reach it so easily. Sits next to Yoda. All right, cool.
That's
So
a
is your
really nice
project-
little graphic from the project timeline. I really like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brad did that. He was like, yeah, if you don't like this, I'll like it. I love that.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Yeah, that's really cool. So you're August, all right? Cool. Nice.
I'm not completely done with coloring the third issue. Like I have everything, like it's about 30 pages, and I have more than half of it completely done. And the second half of the book is like, it's already flatted. It's the colors are separated out. The line art's already knocked back. It's like just going in and finishing up the final renders. So I gave myself a little bit of time after the campaign, so I'm not like stressing it, because I know that you can't really work on stuff during Kickstarter campaigns as much as you think you can. Every single time you do it, you're like, oh, I got to do this. I got to do this. Oh, I gotta update. Gotta send out some messages. So I just figured it would be better. I sent a message out to my email list before. I was like, do you guys want to wait? Or are you okay if I launch it? And it's like at this point, and everybody's like, now. So you listen to your audience.
Yeah. Nice. All right, cool. All right, you're at 2191, 71 backers. You got 19 days. You know, your goal. I think you'll make it, but you're gonna be pulling an all nighter on that last one.
It's gonna be close.
It's gonna be tight.
Printing costs have like pretty much doubled since the last time and I wanted to go back with my same printer that I've used for all my previous campaigns. And when I reached out to her, she's like, just let you know, like the paper costs have like skyrocketed and I can't get you the same kind of quote. You might want to go somewhere else. And I go with Print Lore and with Sam, and like she's just been so awesome. And I was like, look, you've always been there. You've made me a high quality book. Like I want to go through you. So I'm hoping that the book funds, like it's like a cost per unit is like $4.85, which is crazy. So like I'm not making any money off of the Kickstarter campaign. Like if it funds, like it's going to literally be like it's paying cost per unit. So it wouldn't be any profit until afterwards, like if I'd be able to sell at shows and stuff.
Gotcha.
Ryan,
Yeah.
I kind of feel bad asking you this, but what size print run are you looking at?
It's only going to be for 750. I've tried to cut down the print run from each issue. So issue 1, I did 1,500. Issue 2 was 1,000, and then issue 3 is 750. Just because I know that it's a lot more difficult to sell the later issues.
Okay.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's what. Wow, like $5 per book. Yeah, that's expensive.
Yeah, it's rough, but the way I looked at it was like, if the Kickstarter is successful, I mean, the people are still paying for that, and then I add about $2 to progress towards the funding goal, and then plus like the shipping costs. So
Gotcha.
I'm about like half the backers I would need to hit the funding goal right about now. Like I figured I would need around 140 to 150-ish. So it's moving along, and I feel like I can get there. I just need to keep pushing the word out.
Have you had the opportunity to price check against, say, like against the Mixum calculator to see what that looks like? Just it'll take maybe 5 minutes. If you get a chance, run a quick price comparison on the Mixum calculator. See if that doesn't make things any more print friendly as far as costs go for you. You know, because that can give you a little extra breathing room.
Yeah.
I mean,
it is rough.
It is definitely. I mean,
yeah. Randy and I come from a day where, we print runs were 30, 40 cents a book. You know, right, Randy?
Yeah, it's about right.
You know, I mean,
they're black and white interior. Just get them printed over at Printy Press and Litho in Windsor. Yeah,
I was using a Brenner, but
those were the days.
But even recently, we did runs for like 65 cents a book, but it was to 3,000. But we had a bunch of people involved.
Yeah. Well, it's like in 2019, I did a 3,000 copy press run of 47 Furious Tales issue 1, and we paid 69 cents a book.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. You know,
I think my issue 1 was 95 cents a book.
Right. Yeah.
Like the paper cost of like just really made it rough.
Yeah, paper cost has been horrifically affected lately.
Gotcha. I'm surprised that's still a thing. You know what I mean?
John was telling me that it's only in America. Like the other countries in the world aren't really having any paper shortages. It's just like our supplies.
Now, there's another shot that you can take on that is with Avenue 4 out of Canada. You're going to get a little bit of an import tariff. I think mine on Necroholic 1 was like $95 for that, which is not a lot considering we printed a few thousand copies of that book. But it's worth checking out, Avenue 4, and just get good price comparisons. I'll tell you, the Avenue 4 guys completely misprinted out of sequence Necroholic 1. Thank God it wasn't my fault. Just something happened with their system. It completely jumbled the papers. And when I called them the day I got the stuff, I called them. They put me through to the guy who was the head guy in charge of their comic printing. He pulled the file, said, "This is what you had, and this is crap, what we did." Okay. And then the very next morning, my books were printed and on their way to the United States. So, I mean, their service on that is incredible.
Yeah.
So, Avenue 4, Mixum, just to get some good price comparison. There's also Rich Boy that's his actual name, down in Florida.
For Comic Impressions.
Yeah, for Comic Impressions. Just, have Rich run a quote for you, too. I've run quotes from my local printers here in Kentucky, and I'm going to tell you, crack kills brain cells, because I had one guy try to quote me $22 a copy for a 3,000 copy press run of 24 pages, and their shop prints like millions and millions of pages a year. It's a big printer out of Louisville, and I'm like, you are out of your mind. And he's like, you won't beat this. I pulled my phone up, pulled Mixum up. I'm like, I'm getting the same thing, 3,000 for $1.10. You want over $20? I mean, we are not the same.
Yeah, I mean, were they printing on gold?
No, and that was what they wanted on 70-pound stock, and I usually use 80.
Right, that's crazy. Woof. Anyway,
Somebody was trying to catch you coming. That's what it
seriously.
Yeah.
So we want $60,000 for this 3,000 book print. Like,
Yeah, no way we're doing that.
yeah, you can get hardcovers.
Yeah.
I get hardcovers cheaper than that.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. You get hardcovers for $5 a book for 3,000. Mitch Rogers says, "I've had the idea before about doing satanic version of Jack Shit. People rewarding sin.
Future Comics, right
Yep,
here.
there you go. Before and then Snowboard Publishing Rules. There you go. No problem. And hello, I remember when Snowboard reviewed our comics at the Creevage School. There you go.
How do we do? How do we do with the comic reviews? We're tough but fair.
There you go. Nice. All right. Here I got. So all right. Cool. All right. So here's something from Ryan. He wanted me to bring this up. He says, "Do we use editors?" Right. So that's just a follow-up question. It's a question we ask all the time anyway. So I mean, Ryan,
Elaborate
an
on the
editor?
question, Ryan.
Yeah, it's like one of the first things that indie comics end up cutting out, like, because you got to hire a good letterer, good colorist, good artist, and then it's like you want to save a couple $100, so you end up not getting an editor. But like, I think one of the most important parts of the entire team, personally. I've worked with editors on scripts, and I've worked on editors in different projects, like stuff that I've colored. Just getting to see like how they help run the project, like keep it maintained. I love seeing how the editors do like the script edits. Like it's always super cool seeing like what they suggested early on and like gets changed and what makes it out to the final product. But like I think that they make it better, and like we were talking about quality earlier, and I think that's one of the key elements to having a nice quality book is having a good editor.
All right, so let's throw that out there. If you had the choice of the six people, which do you put the money in? Penciler, writer, editor, artist, colorist? Where do you go? Where does the money go?
Mark, you need all those.
You need all of
That's what
them.
I'm saying. You have a limited amount of funds. Where does the majority of the funds go, Ryan?
So here's my take.
Well, I could at least draw and ink in color, so I can do all that. I just have to hire a letterer and an editor.
There you go.
So I can't draw, I can't ink, and I can't color or letter. So my view on this doesn't go how much of the pie that we chop up. It's how much of a project budget do we have to develop? How much capital do I have to put in to make this happen? Because if I've got my guy doing my pencils and he's saying, hey, I'm $125 a page right now. Okay, that's we got budget. If my inker is saying, hey, inkers are all over the place, whether it's 20 or 50 or whatever, I'm factoring that in. My letterer, $30, $40 a page, however it goes. My editor, $400 or whatever, she's charging that month. But the thing is, every comic I make can't go into it with the attitude of this is the last comic I make. I can't shave money out of that budget, because these are professionals who not only do they deserve my respect and the respect of the industry they're working in, they deserve to be able to eat. And so when someone says, hey, I need $400 to do that, if I can't do that, I'll tell them. I'm like, I can't swing X cost for editing on this. I said, I can do this, and we can do something else as far as comps or whatever. If that can't work, then that's okay. We'll find something else for you to do. Like we'll get you a page to do or something like that. But the thing is that if I'm taking something to my crowdfunding campaigns, that goal is what we need to make that project get to print and get shipped. Okay, so like when 47 Furious Tales issue 3 went to Kickstarter the first time, we needed X amount of money, which we fell just short of. God, that was so frustrating. Fast forward a few months later, and capital from other RPGs and stuff have been thrown into 47. We came back to Kickstarter with a $500 goal and funded in like 10 minutes or whatever it was. So the key takeaway from that is there wasn't anything cut from anyone's pocket other than mine, and the key thing being that if we're going to sell the book, we have to have the book. And if I'm going to stay true to the model of I'm going to make the money for my subsequent sales, primarily for my capital and for my operating, money, then we have to be able to not approach it with the mindset of we can cut costs here, here, and here. When you say we need to find the money for this, we need to find the money for this. So like right now for tipping our time traveling psychedelic mushrooms, I'm working on raising another $2,000 to get a jump on that. And one of the things that we're doing for that is selling original pieces, and that works. We've had some success selling original pages, and keep going with that. Not to mention selling books and everything else.
Yeah, nice. Randy, what do you think?
Really, it all depends upon the project and the person's abilities. Where do you put your money? Where I put my money is usually in the artist, depending upon the project. If it's a book I feel I can't draw, I'll hire an artist to do it. I need to spend probably more money on a spell checker, I think. Editing at my point, again, it all depends upon the project. If I'm stuck or if I need some sort of advice, maybe. But other than that, it all goes back into production. I can letter, I can color, I can, most of the time I can draw, unless it's a more serious product. My style tends to be very cartoony, more like C.C. Beck than Neil Adams, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I guess that would be my answer. Really, it all depends upon the project. Right now I'm spending money on art. I'm spending money on coloring. Got a lot of irons in the fire. So,
yeah, nice.
It's all good. And the hole that we dug ourselves into it. I was in full production on products, and that's still. It's not that I've stopped doing those. I just slowed them down tremendously. But I'm still spending money.
Gotcha. Mark?
So speaking from personal experience, trying to get my book out over the past 30 years, I roundabout found my way to an editor, and the book was already written, so there wasn't much he can do. But I think the term that Randy had used in a previous stream was the proofreader or the copyright editor, not like an editor like managing cats. It's someone who can just go over and all right, you need to change this a little bit, fix it with the red pen. Just go over with the red pen, change some of the dialogue, condense it. So I think that's an important thing that everybody should do. Just having the experience myself, I was like, oh, wow, I didn't think it would make a difference, but it really did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For myself, look, the only two things I do is I write and I letter. Right. So those are the two things I can do. I've taught myself how to letter. And I've lettered a couple thousand pages by this point. So I've gotten okay at it, I feel. I'm serviceable. Right. But when it comes down to writing, I don't need an editor for story editing. Right. What I need is a proof editor or a copy editor. Well, not really even so much a copy editor. I need a proofer. Right, someone to make sure my commas are in the right places, my my semicolons are in the right spots, my end dashes are correct, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And on occasion to make sure I don't mess up an antonym or a synonym, right? Because it happens. But that's pretty much. I got a friend of mine who works as a professional editor. I've had him on the show, Steve, and he savages me all the time. I give him it. He's like, do you know how to spell? And I was like, and it's always it's always being in the woods and trying to pick out that one tree. It's just I'm like, come on, man. So yeah.
I feel that in my soul, man. I pay Alexia Veldhausen to edit a lot of the books that I write, as far as comics goes, and English is not her first language. And so when she corrects my spelling or something like that, I feel that in my soul.
Right. Yeah. It's just one of those things. So
but it does help because if you think about
definitely.
Because you're reading the same thing over and over and over again, so your mind makes up for what you think is there, but it really isn't. And so somebody comes with fresh eyes and feels like, that's not right. That doesn't look right at all.
Yeah. Well, I always tell any writer, I said, listen, take your work, write it. Set that sucker aside for at least 2 weeks. If you could set it aside for 3 months, I would tell you to do that and then come back to it, because that'll give you're not even, you're just gonna forget it. You're gonna come back, you're like, oh yeah, that's right, and then you're gonna see things that are wrong in there. You're gonna see it and you're gonna just start correcting. You break out your red pen. I do it all the time.
Yeah.
You just say, wait, hold on. Here you go. So he liked your review, Sam. And he says, I flirted badly moonlighting as an editor. There you go. He says, my biggest piece of advice I can give is to get an editor. There you go. Yes. And
Yeah.
So like I do the art and all that, and I can letter if I wanted. I just really don't enjoy it. But since like John and I are working on this project, like we don't have the experience of writing, like as somebody who has been writing for a long time, like you, JD, like you might not need an editor as much as me. So like I like, that was one of the first things we talked about when we started working on the project together, was we're like, let's get an editor. So we hired our friend James, and like, it doesn't even like, it's great because like he's super excited about the project. Like he reads it and he's like, this is awesome. I can't wait for it. So like his enthusiasm kind of like translates to us and like what we're doing. And then he comes up with some like really good ideas. It feels more like a collaboration with the editor than rather than them being like a copyright person, which isn't, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I think that's super important too. But it's really fun for us because like he's like, hey, well, what about this idea? And he's not giving us the answer. We still have to come up with the answer, and it's making us perceive our work in a different way. And I think in the end, it will be stronger for it. And then, like I said, like, because we're not like hardcore writers. Like I haven't been writing for a long time, so it's super cool for us. Like that's something that we can invest our money into, and I think it's going to be worthwhile, and I think it's going to impact the quality in the end.
No, you're 110%, man. I mean, look, a good story editor is going to give you options, right? They're going to be like, look, you got A, B, and C, right? You can do this, this, and this, right? You have this scene here. This will be stronger if you try this, this, and this. And then they're going to be like, all right, knock yourself out, right? You're like, go do your magic, because that's your end. They're going to be there to just present you with those options and let you know that they're there. And these might have been options that from your perspective, you might not have thought of, right? Because, we all have our own different life perspectives. And as much as and I'm sure as many of you guys as writers, I try to see situations from every angle. I'm human. I can't see every damn angle. So, even though as much as I try, you can't do it, right? But we do try, right? But when you get another person in there, they're like, well, maybe you try this, you try that. You're like, I didn't think of that. So sometimes it is important to have that extra set of eyes there, to bounce off. All right, Mr. Mark, you're up.
Oh, let's see. Yeah, you put me on the spot here. I thought we were gonna run out of time with that. Let's go with something easy. When you are coming up with an idea, as I mentioned, once again, I always put together movies, TVs, other properties. So when you come up with an idea and you see it through, do you see it as the finished product as what it is, or do you see it can be transferred into something else, a different property, different, transmedia? That's the term I'm looking for.
Interesting. Okay. Ryan, you're up, sir.
All right. Well, I'm still working on my first book, so I probably definitely don't have nearly as much experience. So I kind of feel like I'm approaching it from the opposite way. Like I pull my inspiration from like video games and like movies and like stuff that I find inspiring. I'm not necessarily looking at it as the end product going towards being a movie or anything like that, especially just because like it's not only my IP, it's co-owned with somebody else. So none of the decisions can be entirely mine or his regardless. So it makes it a little bit more difficult in that. I feel like if I was going to pursue that, it would be more beneficial if it was something from the get-go that it was more like entirely my creation or entirely like something that I own before trying to get into movie rights or anything else, because I know it gets dirty.
So when you came up with the idea with your co-creator, were you like, oh, this would be a great comic book, and that was the end of it? Or was like, oh, this would be a great whatever. Like, oh, let's make it into a comic first.
So for Sunmaker, I actually found the script online. It was on the Comics Tribe website. They had it on the Proving Grounds, and the writer Liam, he used to post it on there. And when I read it, like I just loved the script. It was like so much fun, and I actually reached out to him on the side, and I was like, "Yo, I really enjoy this script," and I was like, I'll do you some character designs if you want, just for fun. And I did them, and then he ended up liking them, and then he started sending me the script, and we ended up started collaborating.
That's cool.
Nice. No, that's awesome. Sam, what are you thinking?
Well, depending on the property, 47 Furious Tales, I'd really like to make that into an animated movie. It's a 12-issue limited series. It covers a particular set of occurrences, and I think we could do that really well if we could get to the point where we have the capital to do it, which is still a long way off. As far as other things where people, get to enjoy I'm so sorry. Pardon me, gentlemen. Sorry about that.
No.
As far as other items, we do merch stuff that is in line with those titles. It's a little early to see if Brian has any aspirations on Necroholic right now. I know that obviously Christian and with Red Claw, he's a very successful VTuber, and this is really starting to augment that. With Tibian or time traveling psychedelic mushrooms, I've been talking with different labs that grow and cultivate marijuana THC products for primarily for recreational use in the states where that's allowed. I would like to see us really hit that market with probably licensing the image and likeness for edibles, particularly. And I think that even though I myself don't use THC for a lot of reasons, primarily because I work for the courts in Kentucky and I don't really want to get fast tracked to prison. Because they don't want to do that. But I think there's a lot that could be done there to work in conjunction in a really sympathetic relationship, sympathetic in the supportive sense, to help the IP as well as the products that it's licensed to. So, and there are a few other things that I'm so sorry, gentlemen. There's a few other things we're working on too, as far as other titles, some near future, not really science fiction, more near future, what's coming as far as science with things like space exploration and the commercial space programs that are going on. That we'll be trying to do stuff like see if we can't successfully market with certain things like nutrition bars and stuff like you have when we had the early space race where they had Kool-Aid and not Kool-Aid, Tang that was really big with the Apollo stuff, and try and do something similar with that with nutrition bars and maybe protein shakes and stuff like that, just to kind of help build hype and engagement with the population, with the people for space exploration, and just really try and dip our toes into areas, and when we dip them in there, find our little comic book niche and play everything we can to the best of our abilities to bring the best quality products into each of those spaces.
That's cool. That's cool. I know Marvin has done coffee.
Yeah,
he did coffee during his campus. I thought it was interesting. It's like, who doesn't drink coffee, right? Randy, what are your thoughts?
What future plans, or what's coming up, or how I see stuff
So
I'm doing transferring into other
whenever
media?
you come up with an idea, is it that end product is what you came up with, or is it always something in the back of your head for transmedia type things?
It's usually I have something to say, and comics are the way to say it. Or there's I think there's a need in the market. I've got a little robot character I'd love to see animated. Absolutely. But that's not the main reason why I tell those stories. It's because You know, to me, he's really a lesson in tenacity, and I want to have, I want to get some readers out there reading about a robot who just never gives up and figures out a way eventually to go and do it. The superhero book I do right now called Paragon, it's really my answer to Superman. You know, it's what I would do if DC were to come to me and say, "Hey, how about rebooting Superman? What would you do?" This is what I would do. Boom. Let's do something interesting. Let's do something different. You know, I've been reading comics all of my life. I want to produce products that I think are going to really be entertaining and catch and grab people. Got a high fantasy book that I absolutely love and am getting a lot more done this year. I've got a property that I've had for 20 years that was printed by an obscure company out of Canada. I got no money for, none whatsoever, in black and white, and it's a beautiful book, beautifully drawn, and I'm having that colored right now. I'm really excited about it, and we're going to be we've got that already set up in one of the tiers in a campaign already, and I'll probably do a little crowdfunding for that as well, depending upon how it goes. But the character is my answer to the Punisher. I refer to him as the rodeo clown of justice.
Oh wow,
Nice.
And it's just a fun book. You know, there's so many books out there now that are realistic and depressing and all of this. Want to do a fun, not quite lighthearted, but a fun or whimsical book about a guy who fights street crime, and anybody he ties up for the cops, he takes a section of their clothing as a trophy and then incorporates it into his action duds. So it's this guy all in different rags and tatters and different I could probably pull up a picture, but I'm having that. I did it in black and white originally. Never made any money at it. The property is still really viable, so I'm having it colored in. The guy coloring it is doing an amazing job, and it's really a flashy character. I can't wait to show people that. And then there's a lot of other stuff in the pike that I plan on doing, but I don't see it as outside media first. I always see it as a comic. I want to do comics. I want to entertain people with sequential art. That's really that. I think that's my objective. That's why I'm here. And if anything else comes out of it after that, that's just a big bonus. Yeah. I've gotten. I'm an old guy. I'm like JD. JD's probably gotten this close a couple of times on media deals that some reason or somewhere in Hollywood just falls flat on its face, and you go, "Oh yeah, fine, you know, leave me alone. I'll just do my comics." Yeah. You know. But if somebody comes at me with a Hollywood deal, absolutely, I'm here to listen.
If somebody comes to you with a big bag of money, you're not an opposed.
Who's going to say no?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
I think that one of the issues that I keep seeing is that I don't want to try and depend on someone bringing a big bag of money. I'm trying to find ways to make the money to,
yes,
bring stuff together. Like, I'm don't get me wrong. If Netflix said, "Hey, we want to make 47 Furious Tales as an animated movie," then I would love to see that, and I would work with them. But if we can get to the point where we have enough to say, "Hey, we can pay for half of the movie, let's try and crowdfund the rest," then yeah, definitely. And as far as people are like, well, how do you distribute it? Well, if I can't get it distributed into theater or something like that, I'll put the damn thing on YouTube. I mean, I'm not even kidding. And it'll take 50 years before it even comes close to like getting 10% of its money back. But it'll be out there, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool. Before I answer the question, let me put this up. So I'm trying to juggle everything by myself except editing and lettering. I suck at marketing part. Should I try to hire someone to do that, or just trying to get better? The marketing part, there are people out there that you can hire, but I would suggest trying to come on shows like this one, and there are plenty of other shows. I mean, there's Larry's show, there's bunches of shows. Just contact those creators and give yourself some time. Do it 2 or 3 months out. Make sure you get your slot in, and go on those shows.
And I'll tell you, Warren is a remarkable artist. He has, and even as crazy as he's improved so much over the last 3 years, it is absolutely mind-boggling. He's got a piece that he's done that we're going to be bringing with 47 Furious Tales issue 4. That is simply fantastic. Part of me is torn on how we're if I'm not going to just turn around and make big 24 by 36 inch posters of it hanging around, because it's really something to see, guys. That's absolutely amazing. love the work he's doing. And his book Sig and Joe, I've been happy to go through and read that, and I'll tell you, you want a fun comic read, Sig and Joe is a blast.
Nice.
You said Sick and Joe?
Sig and Joe, like cigarette and coffee.
Okay. CIG and Joe.
CIG, Sig and Joe. It's absolutely fantastic.
Where's that from again?
That's by Lunchbox. Warren
okay.
Lunchbox Comics.
There we go.
He's absolutely. He's also actually got work in Dungeons and Dames 2022. He did some fantastic pieces for that.
Cool.
In fact, he had them colored by Bill Leon. I happen to have one right here. If you want to see something that I thought was really. This is again that project that we do for the artists. Let me find Warren.
Nice.
He's got the only 2-page spread in the book.
Cool.
Very nice.
And I mean, my cheap little camera doesn't do it justice, really. But we had some fantastic artists in this campaign who really put some amazing work in here. Kendall Gates, Kelsey Cohen, some newcomers like Samantha Vogelstein.
Oh, that's nice.
And some people who were new to working with me, like Damian Torres, who's now doing tipping or time traveling psychedelic mushrooms. And just Tyler Lanaz, who's a current year Kubert student. Guys, snatch this guy up quick. I mean, he's going to be hard to catch open if you don't catch him soon, because his work is just phenomenal. But yeah, Warren just absolutely crushed it. Absolutely crushed it.
All right, cool. Very nice. And he said thank you.
Oh, you're welcome anytime, Warren. I love your work, man. You know that.
It's funny when it comes down to that question. The Oswald Chronicles, I started off as prose, and I worked it into comic books. So so when I first write things, I just however I can do it, because at the time I didn't have an artist available to me. And I was like, I just wanted to write. So in the end, my thing is if I don't have an artist, I'm going to write, and so if it has to be prose, it's going to be prose. So let me tell you, I mean, personally speaking, I find prose, it's more difficult to write. But I love seeing the art. Which is the reason I keep coming back to comics all the times, because I love seeing that other person's vision bring, the character into that other realm of reality. That it just takes it that one step further.
So if making an animation would have been as affordable as making a comic book, would you have wound up being an animator as opposed to doing comics?
I mean, probably. I mean, I would probably have done both, maybe. Because I will probably have done both. But if I could have done it, or if I can't, if it eventually shows up on the doorstep, like I said, I would be like more than happy to entertain the thought.
I think there's a lot to be said for multiple media types to support one another. We've seen this. You see it in Japan all the time with light novels becoming manga, becoming anime. In the United States, you see it too, from the Dresden Files, then becoming a comic book and also a role-playing game book. You see that same path in Europe a lot. And I think that there's a lot to be said for it. Hell, even Reign of Ages, the setting for that is straight out of the Tarot Adventure series that I published as adventure modules for role-playing. So there's a lot of ways to help try and cross-populate and evolve and your stories, and also different media that you can use to tell them. And I think there's a lot to be said for that.
Yep. And then let's see, we have Eric. He says, LOL, I understand this. I spent years writing and not finding any artists, so I've spent many more years learning to draw and storyboard. There you go. I don't have the patience to learn how to draw. I gave up on that when I was like in my teens. I met a guy, and this guy became my best friend, but he was like I was level 1 and he was like level 10, and I was just like, yeah, I don't think I need to draw anymore. I'll just write. So yeah, I gave up on that one a while ago. So, but yeah, gentlemen, we've made it to hour 2, so we're done for this week. Thank you so much. You guys are all awesome. I really appreciate this. And check it out, people. Please go check out the show notes. Ryan and Sam, both of their campaigns are there. Please click on those links. Help support some indie comics because we all need that help, you know. And it also John's is down there, and also is Kenny's. So go check out their campaigns. Those are excellent campaigns. And before we go, please, Sam, let everybody know where they can find you and your work, sir.
Certainly. You can find me on the social media channels at Sinopa Publishing, LL Sinopa on Twitter, Sinopa Publishing on Instagram and Facebook. I will also be at the Lexington Comic and Toy Convention in Lexington, Kentucky, March 23rd, 24th, 25th, and 26th, where we will be selling comics. We'll be selling our adventure model, Death Comes to Glenfollow. Some of our merchandise like art prints, original art, coffee mugs, just the stuff that we do that people can get good long duration enjoyment out of. And love to see you there. Also, you can find our products on Drive-Thru RPG and Drive-Thru Comics, both our role-playing game books, Dungeons and Dames, and then also our comics.
Very nice.
Oh, and Crowdfunder. I'm sorry, we have our Crowdfunder store also, where we are fulfilling digital every night and shipping print copies the following business day.
All right, cool, very nice. Ryan, where can they find you and your work, sir?
So you can pretty much find a link to all my social medias through my website at ryankroboth.com. And if you want to look up Sunmaker on Kickstarter, that's great. It might be secret.
No, Ryan, tell them. Go check it out and go buy a book, damn it.
Yeah, or JD's going to be mad.
Exactly.
Get Sunmaker on Kickstarter today.
That's right, on Kickstarter, yes. Go get it. Randy, where can they find you and your work, sir?
You can find my work at aerocomics.store, where you can get books like HeroBot Zero, I have a second issue of HeroBot Zero also available up there.
Nice.
That's that little robot I was talking about earlier.
Mhm.
The superhero book Paragon's available there, as well as Calico of Shard issue 1's available now. We have Aero Comics has a campaign running on Indiegogo called Chrome Dog that has 2 Arrow tiers available. The first one is 8 books for $50, all number 1s. The second tier is now available over on the Chrome Dog campaign. That includes HeroBot 2, Revolt 2, Fool number 1, and as well as Chrome Dog 1 is included in that tier. There's 6 books there in that tier available. That's Chrome Dog over at Indiegogo. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter if you look hard enough, most of the time. You can find me, especially here at the Indie Comics Network. I do 2 shows, one on Sunday morning called the Sunday Funnies, where there's a group of us getting around talking about the comics and the sequential art and our influences, the stuff that we love and that keeps us in the business. And then Friday morning at 5 a.m., I actually get up and we do a kayfabe kind of show called Comics by Night, where we pull up great works by the old sequential art masters and decipher them, look them over, critique them, talk about them any way that we can. We use a lot of artisan editions. The next couple of episodes, you said struggling, we're going to be looking at Walt Simonson's Manhunter.
That is awesome.
Right here from a great artisan book. It's all archived, so you don't have to get up at 5 a.m. Eastern time on Fridays. But we are archived over in the Indie Comics Network. That's Comics by Night. We've done like 3 episodes on Steranko's Nick Fury Artisan Edition. We just got done doing 2 episodes on the first 5 issues of Eerie magazine. And that's a whole run of great sequential artists that we go through and take a good look at. And usually Glenn Fleming is there, who's a very experienced publisher from England. And Russ Leach is there, who's done work for Doctor Who Quarterly and the Panini Batman books. And Russ and I are currently working on something for the international market that we're looking forward to doing all next year. And that's going to be a lot of fun as well. Plus more information about Aero Comics. Look for Aero Comics all over the place. aerocomics.store. That's it.
Very nice. There you go.
Thank you.
Mark?
Easiest way is to Google It Came From the Radio. We are the official radio show of the Big Apple Con. We are going to celebrate our 20th anniversary next week on Sunday the 19th with our very first StreamYard live stream type deal. It's an experiment we're doing. It's hopefully going to have as many of the old cast members on the show, the old co-hosts. It's going to be at 7 o'clock on the 19th. So, JD, I hope that people will watch our first, and then they can go over to you at 7:30. We are on 88.1 FMWARY in Westchester County, New York. If everything goes well, we should be also on 1240 AM WGBB.com within a month. We have a book. My book is finally coming out through Crowdfunder. It's going to be released next month. We're going to open that up for Crowdfunder. And we're doing a radio play based on the comic, which we're going to be doing to promote that. And we also have a live show courtesy of the East Meadow Public Library. That's in East Meadow, Long Island, New York. That's www.eastmeadow.info, which is the second Wednesday of every month. This next show will be on the 8th of March. And we're going to have MCon event coordinator, Kelly Gordon, and we're actually going to do a live read of the radio play at the MCon, which is going to be in April 22nd and 23rd. Also, if you have any type of podcast stuff, you can go on to the website, www.camfire.com. We can find us on there. It's iHeart, Spotify, all those fun places. If you have a podcast place, we're on it. So, yeah, that's where you can find us.
All right, cool. Thank you so much, everybody. My name is JD Calderon, and you can find me here just about every Sunday at 7:30 p.m. EST. On Twitter, Facebook, Indiegogo, Instagram, DeviantArt, all in the JD Calderon, the OswaldChronicles.com, TallTalesOnline.com. So there you go. Go check out the stuff. Thank you so much, everybody. You guys are all awesome. Like I said, go check out those links. Go buy yourself some books. And one more thing, buy more indie comics, especially ours. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye.
Good night.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Right.